From Sci News, new species of Iguanodontid discovered on Isle of Wight. From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know. Now, let's get into the animal news of the day. A new genus and species of Iguanodontian dinosaur being named Comptonatus chasei has been described by University of Portsmouth PhD student Jeremy Lockwood and his colleagues. So, since it's mentioning the University of Portsmouth, and since this is an iguanodontian, I'm going to guess this animal was discovered in the Wessex Formation of the Isle of Wight, which is a small island off the coast of southwest England, just southwest of Portsmouth. And I have not read this. I'm just very familiar with the different variety of dinosaurs from this region. Um, Comptonatus chasei roamed Earth during the early Cretaceous epoch, some 125 million years ago. This animal would have been around a ton, about as big as a large male American bison. Even though, yeah, this is a bit of blurry, or I would say it's blurry, just an odd depiction, but there have been a wide variety of different species of iguanodontian that have been discovered here. And since it is mentioning this took place around 125 million years ago, that would mean that this was during the Barremian stage of the early Cretaceous period. So we had a wide variety of different types of carnivorous theropod dinosaurs existed here, a large range of different species of sauropods. And it's not just land based animals that have been discovered here. There have even been different species of shark that have been discovered here as well as, and even unidentified elasmosaurids, the long necked plesiosaurs. And evidence from fossil footprints found nearby shows it was likely to be a herding animal. So, possibly large herds of these heavy dinosaurs may have been thundering around if spooked by predators on the floodplains over 120 million years ago. Um, when it comes to also different footprint settings within England itself, England has a wide variety of early Cretaceous formations that have many sets of footprints from specifically iguanodontid dinosaurs. To a lesser extent, different species of carnivorous theropods and even the sauropods, but definitely iguanodontids were very common within England. Comptonatus chasei was a member of Iguanodontia, a highly successful group of ornithischian dinosaurs, probably originating during the late Middle Jurassic. So let's venture into other animals within this region. So this is Hypsiphyllodon, which is a member of the Hypsiphyllodontidae lineage of ornithopods. And this individual, or this specific family, didn't exist for too long. They actually had a relatively short reign. Some might confuse them with drysaurs, which would be found during the Jurassic period, or possibly even heterodontosaurs, but they were their own distinct lineage. And this specific family only existed for about 10 million years. So, first evolving around 130 million years ago, just before the Barremian stage of the early Cretaceous, and then ending around 120 million years ago. It's a big mystery as to why these herbivores would have gone extinct. They could have possibly been omnivorous. They did have a very distinct dental structure. This is an interesting depiction of the animal, considering so far there isn't any evidence to support that these animals would have had feathers, but it certainly is possible. The Hypsiphyllodon was somewhere around 9 feet in length and maybe weighed somewhere around 50 to 110 pounds. So it was a smaller species of ornithopod. And yes, they were mostly bipedal. And then you have the Drysaurs, which existed at this point. Now, the Drysaur lineage of Ornithischia would um, cling on for a much longer period of time than the Hypsiphyllodonts, or possibly even the Heterodontosaurs. The Drysaurs first evolved during the Jurassic period, around 163 million years ago, and would end up going extinct around 110 billion years ago during the last 10 million years of the early Cretaceous period. Um, this specifically is Baldosaurus. And like mostly all species of Dryosaur, it has its distinct five fingers on its forelimbs. So, this is actually a very unique trait that you would even find on the Hycephalodonts as well, even the Heterodontosaurs. Um, it also looks like possibly they all might have been somewhat clawed. But the thing is that when it comes to Valdosaurus, this animal was probably around 8 feet in length and weighed somewhere around 80 to 90 pounds. So it had to evade much larger predators within the region, but there were also have been smaller species of dromaeosaur that have been discovered within the Wessex Formation. Oh, this is just another depiction of a feathered Valdosaurus. This is quite interesting. They really are giving them a very bird-like appearance. So it looks very good. I'm not exactly sure, though, who this specific avian species of dinosaur or specifically a bird is supposed to be. Probably a distant relative of today's avian birds. And this is one of the earlier species of nodosaur or of this time, or more specifically, the polycanthids. So the polycanthids also had a very short reign. They ended up going extinct somewhere around 120 to 115 million years ago. First evolving somewhere between 125 to 130 million years ago. And this is specifically Polycanthus, probably the most famous polycanthid as well as even Nodosaur. I'm not sure about any other species that might come close. Maybe Minmi from Australia, but even then, it's rarely mentioned. So Polycanthus was somewhere around 13 feet in length and weighed probably somewhere around 1,200 to 2,000 pounds. Despite it being quite a short animal, it didn't reach much more than 4 feet in height. It was a very heavy coelacanthid for its body size, and it did not have a tail club like the later true ankylosaurs would. They also the true ankylosaurs hadn't necessarily evolved yet, but at this point, the osteoderms that are shown within this animal are not too far off from what this individual would have looked like. Possibly even more spiky appendages might have appeared over towards the shoulder blade, but it is good to see how it's quite flat within this region. You probably would have had much larger, round shaped osteoderms within the back structure. And we do have preserved um, osteoderm, like shell like structures of Polycanthus itself. So, this animal was also probably just feeding on different species of ferns within the region. And then you have one of the earliest species of tyrannosaurs that existed within the Isle of Wight at this time. This is specifically Eotyrannus. So this is about 11 feet in length. Actually, no, could have possibly reached as long as 15 feet or a little over 4, little over 5 meters. And this individual probably preyed on the smaller species of Ornithischia. So the Hycephalodonts, as well as Valdosaurus at this time, might have preyed on young sauropods. And unlike the later tyrannosaurs, this animal had much longer arms compared to its body size and had three distinct claws. So these were very likely used for disemboweling its prey. And this animal did not have necessarily a very narrow jaw structure like certain other tyrannosaurs compared to their body size, but it was certainly quite robustly built, unlike later species of tyrannosaur. And it is very possible that Eotyrannus itself might have been the predecessor to animals like Daspletosaurus and Tyrannosaurus rex. Now, here we have an animal that's not often talked about. This is a member of the Spinosaur lineage, a little more specifically Baryonychini, the subfamily of Spinosaurs, in which as well animals such as Baryonyx suchomimus belong to, but even more specifically, a subfamily of Baryonychinidae, Cetophosuchini. And this is specifically Reparovenator, which was around 9 meters in length or around 30 feet and could have reached somewhere around 3 tons. It was probably focusing on different species of fish. There have been over 12 different species of fish that have been found within this formation, not including other saltwater species like the different types of sharks, such as the specific genus Hybotus itself that Reparovenator was feeding on. So Now, this animal, it is very likely it might have coexisted with baryonyx at this time, despite baryonyx, at least that I know of, not being found in this formation. But Raparvinator lived in England somewhere around 125 million years ago, and so did baryonyx. So, Compsognathus chasei is a fantastic dinosaur specimen, one of the most complete to be found in the UK in a century. The specimen, which is younger than Brystonius, but older than Montelosaurus. So, okay, yeah, it's explaining it here. These are two other iguanodontids within the formation. Closely related to Compsognathus chasei, demonstrate fast rates of evolution in iguanodontian dinosaurs during this time period. Oh yeah, this is the interesting thing. I mean, you have these much smaller species of iguanodontians that showed up somewhere between 130, actually 130 to 135 million years ago, because there's older groups within this specific formation that actually date back to about 147 million years ago, I believe, during the wait, 140, no, sorry, 143 million years ago. So about 2 million years before or after the start of the Cretaceous period. And you would have a wide range of different species of iguanodontids immediately evolve, as well as iguanodon itself, which would appear somewhere between 125 to 130 million years ago. Um, let's see, and could help us understand how ecosystems recovered after a putative extinction event at the end of the Jurassic period. The fossilized remains of Compsognathus chasei were found in the Wessex Formation on the Isle of Wight in 2013 by fossil collector Nick Chase. I think I've heard of that guy. Compsognathus chasei represents one of the most complete iguanodontian dinosaurs, including cranial elements found in Britain. Despite only four new dinosaur species being described on the Isle of Wight in the whole of the 1900s, what? No, that can't be right. There have been eight new species named in the last 5 years. That's it? In the whole of the 1900s, something has to be off. I swear there were many more have been discovered. Definitely like an overall in England, that's silly to say. This really is a remarkable find. It helps us understand more about the different types of dinosaurs that lived in England in the early Cretaceous. Now, England has some really great dinosaurs from this region. I mean, from a wide variety of different families. Let's see who else. Okay, so now Polycanthus. Okay. So this is a species of Carcharodontosaur that existed during this time in England. So this is Neovenator, which is a predecessor to animals such as Carcharodontosaurus, Giganotosaurus, but Carcharodontosaurus was down in Africa around 97 million years ago, as well as Mapusaurus or Giganotosaurus existing in South America around the same time. However, Neovenator inhabited the Isle of Wight probably around 125 million years ago. And the thing is that this animal, despite how much earlier in time it is, still reached a length of approximately around 10 meters or 33 feet and probably weighed somewhere around 3 tons. So it and Raparvinator were probably somewhat competitors to an extent, probably during the dry seasons. But even then, Raparvinator probably just stuck to other areas that had fish, might have even preyed. Well, who I'm referring to is the Spinosaurid, probably focusing also on smaller species of dinosaurs. Spinosaurus could probably be opportunists, which is a species of animal that has the ability to go after different food sources, whereas a specialist would mean that Raparvinator would only focus on fish. And if you look at how distinctively large the forelimbs are, they're definitely capable of taking down smaller animals. Whereas um, the Neovenator, I think these arms are a little exaggerated, but as the overall shape, they're not bad. Usually, Carcharodontosaurs had much smaller arms compared to their body size. It's mostly going to be relying on the skull, just slicing off chunks of flesh. But yeah, it's unlikely they would have fought each other over food unless it was a carcass. However, in a fight, I really do think the Spinosaur would win. Okay, so here we have Chompedontosuchus. which is a member of the Barycolusian lineage of crocodilomorphs, which also had quite a small reign during this time. It only existed for about 10 million years. And it is interesting. We have a wide variety of different species of reptiles as well as dinosaurs that these specific families that existed during this time in England only existed for a short period. But anyway, this crocodilomorph was only about um, what about half, little over maybe 0.6 meters or um, around 2 feet in length, and probably just focus, like it's showing here, on different species of mollusks. We're going after different species of snails, crustaceans within the area. It might have preyed on the smaller mammals within the region. There have been at least 7 different species of mammal that have been discovered in the Wessex Formation that Chompodontosuchus might have been feeding on. And these are probably no event neovenators within the region. So these are the Carcharodontosaurs and might have gone after dragonflies. It also coexisted with another member of the Bernissartian lineage of crocodilomorphs, and this animal was also around the same size as Champodontosuchus. This is Bernissartia, which is what the family is named after. This is a another 0.6 meter or 2 foot long individual, and it also probably preyed on different species of smaller reptile within the region, mollusks, amphibians, crustaceans, and possibly even preyed on younger individuals of pterosaurs or even the Hycephalodonts at this time. And it also belonged to the same family as the Champodontosuchus. Unlike the Champodontosuchus, though, which is interesting because when you look at Champodontosuchus, it has a bit more of a robust build compared to Bernissartia. However, when you take a closer look at the tip of the snout, it's quite thin. And the same goes for this individual. So, for some reason, the Bernissartians had quite thin and narrow skulls. Not necessarily like a Garrel, but still quite thin. And so here we have our pterosaurs. So this is a member of the Archaeornidai lineage of Pteranodon Pteranodontoideae, and this is Coccocephalus, which probably had a wingspan of somewhere around 4 meters or a little over 12 feet. And this individual was probably feeding on different species of fish at the time, might have even been hunting younger individuals of sharks, probably not hunting any dinosaurs within the region, probably avoided reptiles unless they're like like a large lizard, maybe going after amphibians, but looking at the distinct conical teeth that this individual has, it was most likely a fish eater. And this is Istiodactylus, which is a member of the Istiodactyli lineage of pteranodontids. And also looking at distinct conical teeth, a bit more robust than what you would find on the Coccocephalus, but was probably also feeding on a wide variety of fish. A larger percentage of pterosaurs would have fed on fish, maybe small amphibians, until you reach certain animals like the Asdarchids, which were probably feeding on different species of dinosaurs. Oh, this individual also probably had somewhere around a 12 to 16-foot wingspan. So we're talking a little over 5 meters. But these pterosaurs probably didn't weigh much more than 80 pounds. So they were quite lightweight. The pteranodontids in general, unlike the Asdarchids, which did evolve around 140 million years ago, were much more lightly built, probably because they just weren't meant for going after different species of dinosaurs. A, a distinct feature about the pterosaurs themselves, unlike the dinosaurs, is that just their third finger or the ring finger was designed for controlling the flight of most of the wing. So that's just how specialized they were when it came to flight. And no, they did not need the wind to help push them off, or they didn't need to be on a specific cliff, especially since much of the different geographical areas within the Mesozoic era they were quite flat. So many instances they couldn't rely on a certain cliff and wind. They simply had the biomechanics and the musculature to push themselves off of the ground and efficiently get into the air. Larger species could probably just soar like vultures, but it could have happened with even smaller individuals. Okay, let's see. This adds to research that shows that Wessex was one of the world's most diverse ecosystems. Yeah, there were other species of Spinosaurid within the area, why a wide array of other species of iguanodontids, and at least five different species of sauropod that have been discovered here, as well as I think three or four different pterosaurs that I didn't even mention. So yes, the Wessex Formation is fascinating. Let me know what your favorite species of English dinosaur is within the comments. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.